Hello again, everyone. This is Jim back with another video update. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. This is Sunday early afternoon. Just gonna make a little video here and then go off for a run. Yeah, I'm back. I'm able to run again, although I'm taking it very, very easy right now. Just an update. I had, this is like 3 weeks ago, I fell and landed on my left hip and sort of, had some hip pain there for a while. And I started to try to just take minimal time off and run through it and recover quickly. The more I did that, I found that I was going backwards. After a while, I had to just bite the bullet and realize that I was going to have to just shut it down and get some rest because, the left hip sort of healed up and I didn't feel pain, but then it sort of migrated over to the right side. And I don't know how that works, but the hips are funny. I mean, when you injure them, it's like deep in there, and from past experience, you got to give them time. So that's what I did. I really shut it down this past week, and I walked. I walked. That's about all I did. One day I did some stairs, which doesn't really put pressure on the hips. But anyway, I'm able to run now, just at a mild pace, and it's feeling good. Man, when I was out of action, not able to run, I just realized it hit me how much I miss that and need that. I need to move and sweat, and it just, I don't know, I really need it. I guess I'm one thing kind of addicted to it, but so I'll be doing that here shortly. I guess I just wanted to say, yeah, one other thing, I track my weight daily, not only weight, but it's body fat, skeletal muscle mass, a bunch of different features. My scale gives me all these different readings, and I write them down every day. It's a little obsessive, but I just collect this data for whatever reason. I don't know, once every few months I look at it, I graph it, but it's not really changing a whole lot now, but anyway, I still collect the data. But what I do is once a month, I record this data on a sheet, and a sheet has 28 days. So every time I start a new sheet, I also record my blood pressure and do a waist measurement as part of that process when I start a new sheet. And I was just looking back today, and normally those don't change a whole lot, but my waist measurement over the past couple months has declined by half an inch. It's shrunk up by half an inch, which, and then at the same time, I have not changed, my weight has not changed at all. So that's a positive sign. I mean, that's ideal. So things are going in the right direction as far as maintenance. I'm hoping that, I've started a new process where in the mornings I do a routine. I do this, a push-up routine, and I do that every morning, push-ups to failure. And, I'm making a little progress on that. And so I'm thinking, maybe that is part, I've been doing that roughly 2 months now. So maybe that has had some benefit. But yeah, things are good. I'm able to run again, and the weather's slowly turning around, so the running can be outdoors, which is very nice. There's a little bit of sunshine here and there. One thing I had in mind today is to ask. I wanted to request everybody to. I had this idea of doing a video based on comments, and so I'm soliciting comments today from everybody, lurkers and regulars and all of you. what I thought is, I mean, generally I get comments every video I make, and I generally try to respond to all of them if I can, and with some interaction, or if it's a question, some back and forth. Um, Answer the question. Um, what I thought is that maybe we try something different, and what I want to ask is everybody put a comment on this video, and just put down where you're at. Are you, in terms of your weight journey or your health journey, are you, let's say, off the wagon and looking for an opportunity to get back in, or are you on your journey, in the middle of it, or are you in maintenance mode? And in addition to that, what are, no matter where you're at, what are your challenges, or what's working for you? I mean, just briefly, are there any questions or anything you're struggling with? Just kind of go on the record with where you're at. I'm just sort of curious, and what I thought I'd do is collect the responses, and maybe answer in a video, either collectively by group, to those, let's say they're off the wagon, or those in the middle, or whatever, answer in a group, and or specifically to particular people. But I thought by bringing the response, by making the response in a video, it might be make it more of a collective experience, rather than just all the responses always being buried in the comments. So that's my request. One request today is that if you like, and I encourage, I know most people, most of the views are people that never comment, but you lurkers out there, jump in. And I know you're lurking you're probably not here for the great entertainment I provide, but so you got to be either off the wagon, or on a journey, or in maintenance. Just share a bit, and I love data, so I'll collect the data and present it in an upcoming video, and hopefully in a way I can make it instructive and informative, and answer questions. So anyway, if you would do that, participate in that, we'll see how that works. Hopefully that'll be a fun exercise for all of us. And this stems from when I was first introduced to the carnivore world, when I first started noticing comments from people about eating a carnivore diet. And this is going back now, this would be back in 2017. I started noticing the carnivore movement, Sean Baker and associated people in the meat eaters community. I started, to be curious. I was carnivore curious in the beginning. And I started to hear a number of people make a comment, and it typically would say, food is fuel, not entertainment. And I would hear this all the time. And I thought, well, yeah, that's true. It's not. But then it seemed kind of cold, and it seemed uninviting. It was kind of a turnoff. Food is fuel. Okay, it is fuel, but I don't know. It can also be fun too. It seemed like, this was my experience, but I still went into it thinking, all right, maybe it is going to just turn out to be this boring, like going to the gas station with your car. All right, you just take out the pump and it's fuel. It's nothing exciting about it. You add fuel when you're low on fuel. Sounds real boring and dull, right? But maybe that's the way it needs to be. But it's never really been like that for me, and I just wanted to talk about this because I still see this from time to time. It's not entertainment. It's fuel. I just want to expand on that a little bit and give my opinion, because I don't look at food, or let's say in a broader sense, eating, as just fuel. To me, it's like life. And I've kind of come to this realization after being carnivore now for some time. Uh, I have a richer appreciation for food, and eating one meal a day in a carnivore style. It's really deep, and it's not just fuel. It is like to me, it is life. It's a celebration of life, um, and it's much more than just fuel. And I'll give some examples. Last winter I was watching a bunch of videos made on the topic of the Bushman people in southern Africa, and they're hunters, and they still hunt in a fairly primitive way with little poison darts, and they don't always have there's feasting and famine. There's times when they're really hungry, and there's times when they're feasting. But these kind of primitive style hunters, you could see. I watched these documentaries, and you could see what a successful hunt meant to those people and their communities, whether it's young or old. When they would have a successful hunt and bring home some kind of an antelope, or some big kill where everybody could participate in. It was a communal experience. It was a celebration. I mean, everybody was involved, and there was singing and dancing, and it, like I said, like a celebration of life. It was fuel. Yeah, it was fuel, and fuel they often badly needed in lean times. They're probably fasted and suffering, without having that good kill, that big kill. But it was the celebration afterwards. It's life. And life is, you experience life when you have the fuel and when you don't have the fuel. And this is sort of like a lifestyle I have. I eat one meal a day, so I'm not always eating, but when I do eat, it is like a mini celebration. Okay, I generally eat alone. I don't have this communal experience all the time, but my meals I look forward to them, and they're special. And each meal is like that, even though they're simple meals and just carnivore meals, and they're not complex meals with a whole variety of special preparations and flavors. Just my simple meals are very meaningful, give me a great sense of contentment and nourishment, and just such an overall feeling of well-being. It's not just to fuel up, it's to be a part of nature and celebrate nature. I'm in agreement to an extent with the food as fuel philosophy. I do identify with that in terms of it doesn't take fancy concoctions and preparations and recipes and fancy restaurants to get this feeling. In fact, now, if I'm ever at a nice restaurant and that food seems foreign to me, the great chefs take such go out of their way to make, you know, experiment with different flavors and different uh, combinations of ingredients to give you like a wow factor, you know, spices and different. I mean, it's to it's to provide like a wow, you know, to impress your eye. First of all, a lot of it's about the look, you know, the color, the preparation, the texture, and then these fancy sauces and often sugary sauces and carby. You know, it doesn't take all this special preparation to feel great about your meal. And I don't even like that kind of a meal anymore. Um, I don't like all the adornment and special spices and that. Just give me a simple pot roast, steak, some butter, salt and pepper, things like that. It's wonderful, and it doesn't. Um, so I think you get my point here. It's fuel, but it's more than fuel. But it doesn't have to be a fancy. Um, but there is a, you know, what I'm trying to say also is the communal aspect is there too, even if it's not the whole community like in my Bushman example, but just eating with your, you know, with your friend or some friends or your family. Okay, it's a shared experience, and there's something to that, to the eating, to shared eating is it's nice to share it, and it's something more than just fueling up. It's not just two or three or four people sitting around a table. You know, here I'm taking my fuel. You know, more fuel, more fuel. No, it should be it should be joyous, and it should be a celebration of health and life. And to me, that means eating right, and doesn't have to be carnivore, but good whole natural foods, not the man-made food. I mean, this is, as you know, I'm not in favor of all at all the man's contribution to food has been pretty poor in terms of the all the invented foods and the invented processes and special wheat that's grown and special seeds. Um, just meat, I think, is the best. If you want to add some non-starchy vegetables, that can be great too, if you can tolerate it. But it doesn't take a whole lot. It doesn't have to be fancy. Um, but I just wanted to say, I think it's more than just fuel. It can be. It's not entertain. It doesn't have to entertain you. Your food shouldn't. You know, you shouldn't be looking forward to your fuel to your meal as entertaining. But I think you can look forward to it. There's nothing wrong with looking forward. I look forward to my meal. I eat once a day, and it's darn special, that meal. Um, I look forward to it not because I'm hungry, just because of the what I mentioned earlier, the special feeling of being nourished and a wonderful sense of contentment, um, and feeling like I'm, you know, participating in life in the proper way. I'm eating a species appropriate diet, and I'm just doing right for myself, and it just feels good overall. My body appreciates it. Every feedback I get from my body and mind tells me that this is good. The way I'm eating is good. I get a positive response all around. So anyway, I don't want to belabor that point, but I think it's kind of clear. Um, I don't look at it food as just fuel because it sounds real boring and dull. I mean, food is, to me, it's more like life. Um, and life, yes, I know I don't want to get into the whole thing about eating eating animal products versus plant products and the whole death. My eating requires the death of animals, but I just want to say that all eating requires the death of some kind of life. Uh, and it's part of that's what life is. Life is eating, reproducing, and then dying and being eaten, and then that's how life goes on. That's part of the cycle. So we eat, uh, and we die, and we're eaten in one way or another by down the road. It's just going to happen. It's true for us. It's true for animals. It's true for every part of every living being is in this process. So that's it. Food is fuel, but it's much more than that. I just wanted to make that comment today. I've always, like I said, it's kind of been lurking in the back of my mind, and I see it always kind of a caution. People come on social media kind of with these warnings about food is not entertainment. It should not be entertainment. Okay, yeah, I don't want my food to entertain me, but I want this feeling that I have, and I enjoy this feeling I have, and it's much more than just fuel. So, yeah, all is good. I'm going to, I think, head out now and do my Sunday run. It's fairly warm, a little bit of sun outside, and then prepare for my weekly feast. My daily feast. Today I've got some beef short ribs from Hasselmann Farms, and they look awesome. They're really nice looking. They got some nice beef and fat. Looks like a nice combination. Got them in the slow cooker. I've also got some, I'll be trying my first, I bought some products from U.S. Wellness Meats, and I'm going to sample some of their ground beef today. And I got a leftover pork shoulder steak. So, hey, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be my celebration today. That's gonna be all good. So we'll do that a little later on after my run and some relaxation. Okay, so I just got back from my run, and I realized when I filmed the video earlier, talking about food as fuel, I forgot to contrast how I feel about food now to my prior life, because that's interesting. In my prior life, food wasn't fuel. It wasn't a celebration of life. It was more an addiction, pure and simple. Food was a drug, and I had to get a fix every 3-4 hours, and typically that meant sugary, carby foods. I was living on glucose, and I was a slave to glucose. And when you're in that condition, you're eating all the time. You're eating frequently, and there wasn't no. I couldn't take a relaxed approach to my meals. In fact, it was like an urgency. It was like, I gotta eat, because I'm starving. It wasn't a relaxed, pleasant feeling about the upcoming meal that it was going to be so wonderful. No, it was just, I better start eating. And the eating itself was a mindless eating. Is just wasn't really pleasurable or enjoyable, or thinking about the food and enjoying it, the sensations. It was just like nom 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 nom, just get it in and get my fix, and get that sugar buzz going. Um, and there wasn't no pleasant feeling afterwards, no rest and digest. It was more like, like, if you eat enough, it's sort of like a coma you go into. Um, there was a bloated feeling, uh, a gassy feeling, um, just overall unpleasant. And then typically, and every evening at the end of the day, I would, in the evening and at night, have heartburn, typically, depending on what I ate. It was typically every day heartburn. And I always attributed that to the meat and grease. This is what I thought was causing it, but uh, I would have, typically, though I found out later, is due to sugar and onions and eating a lot of plant foods and sugar. To be honest, gave me the heartburn. Tomatoes in particular, also. I ate a lot of tomatoey things, tomato sauce and tomatoes, and cut out all that. I never have heartburn anymore. And but yeah, what a contrast. There was no enjoyment of the food. It was just get a fix and then continue the next morning. Right away. Um, you get more fuel in the form of sugar in the coffee, 2, 3 sugars, and then more coffee with sugar, and then another sugary lunch with carbs, and you know, it was so much in contrast to what I described as being, I'm not in a rush to eat. I know it's going to be a great feeling the way I am now. Um, it's I know I'm going to be eating in a couple hours, and I feel good about that. And I know I'm going to feel good afterwards, and I'll feel good the next day as well. And there'll be no heartburn, and the contentedness that I described earlier. The what do I call it? The just nutritionally satisfied. So anyway, quite the contrast. Just by changing, like I did, meal timing, and I changed my diet. By changing those two things, carnivore plus OMAD, uh, completely different relationship with food. Uh, Again, um, give me your comments back to the earlier one. We'll do something. Give me your comments of where you're at in your journey, and I'll fashion that into a video update here in the near future, depending on the response. Okay. I hope everyone is having a good day, and appreciate, as always, you tuning in and watching and commenting. Um, and so until next time, I'm going to sign off for today. Take care, everyone.